This leader is provided to facilitate adjustment of focus. Please be aware there are spoilers contained in this video presentation.
When Mel made the blazing saddle, hit the world with a crowbar. His job it was to rattle racists from near and far. He made some jokes about gays and straights. You couldn't make this film today. He made his blazing saddle a huge offense buffet.
Blazing Saddles was released in 1974. It was directed by Mel Brooks. It was nominated for actress, editing, and song, also the National Film Registry.
Simple Western story with simple values. You know.
Morons.
As for an overall movie, I would say it was good, albeit cringeworthy and politically incorrect. But the plot was easy to follow. It's a parody, but it's not really trying to reference too much stuff to make it distracting.
But it's not a spoof, but a
satire.
So I thought that was pretty good. Like Spaceballs, Dracula, Dead and Loving It, and Men in Tights all were like,
ooh, some people are going to come and get you for us saying that about Spaceballs.
For the longest time, I just figured that this was a spoof on all Westerns. And then I watched Destry Rides Again, which is the movie that this is spoofing, specifically.
It is really
straight down the line. But it also became my favorite Western. It's got Jimmy Stewart and Marlena Dietrich.
Marlena Dietrich looking hot.
It's true.
And lest we not talk about Madeline Kahn.
Hello, handsome. Is that a 10-gallon hat? Or are you just enjoying the show?
I think if you had anybody else in that role, I don't know that this whole movie works as well as it does.
Well, and she got the Oscar nod for this, which, I mean, getting an Oscar nomination for a comedy is really something.
Cleavon Little did such an amazing job.
I thought Harvey Korman.
Harvey Korman, so good. Slim Pickens, so good.
Throw that bin! We'll head him off at the pass!
Gene Wilder, so good.
Need any help?
Oh, all I can get.
Oh, and Count Basie? That was a pretty awesome pull. Them just sitting out of the desk.
Cantown Races, that part. And then when Slim Pickens comes in.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
That, I mean, hands down, was like one of the funniest.
We did a strum along. The theme was the Rat Pack. And so it was all Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby. And somebody did I Get a Kick Out of You. And when they got to the end of it, I said, oh, as featured in Blazing Saddles. And they said, no, it's not. I'm like, oh, yes, it is.
Oh, yes.
No kick from Champagne.
Hold it. What the hell is that?
Madeline Kahn is sitting and they're going, yeah, 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 yeah. I can play that song on the accordion.
I would say this is one of Brooks' best movies that he's done. Young Frankenstein, I would say, like, these two were, like, his best. Like, History of the World was okay, and then all the other ones.
He did both Young Frankenstein and this in 74. But if you juxtapose this and Young Frankenstein, he was handling them in such different ways. I think that really shows his versatility.
You know, he went on to do Silent Movie and then High Anxiety in 77. You can see the distance that he's going on. And I watched one review where the guy was like, so they have a medieval guy that's hanging a guy and his horse?
I couldn't possibly sneak him in until Monday, sir. I'm booked solid.
It's like dealing cards. Like, here's something a little offensive for everybody.
We'll kill the firstborn male child in every household.
Too Jewish.
And then Harvey Korman turns around and humps the Statue of Justice. Why?
So I read an article that was talking about how a lot of people have said this is a movie that you couldn't make today. And his point was, why would you? Because this is really a piece about the time that it was in, and that making this movie today wouldn't be right.
And I think that, and this is three white guys talking right now, I feel like this exemplifies where being an anti-racist in the late 70s and 80s was, where you could sit and watch this and you were on the right side of it. You knew that you were right on the right side of it. The racists look ridiculous. Cleavon Little is empowered in this movie. It doesn't empower a movement.
Him specifically, the other railroad workers are not empowered. Well, and as funny as the...
We'll give some land to the and the but we don't want the Irish.
That's a really important joke in there, because I think it's showing, how is that different?
Brooks did say that this was supposed to be like the hypocrisy of racism, where you have a little town of morons and they shun the fact that they would have a black sheriff until he saves them.
Candygram for Mongo. Candygram for Mongo.
Hey, Mongo.
And then they bring him in and he's like, they're all good then.
Of course, you'll have the good taste not to mention that I spoke to you.
Of course.
The idea that not an outlandish thing to think somebody would have said even back in the 50s.
Yeah, well, and, there are parts of the country, and I think probably still today, there are people that when they're not in mixed company talk like these people did. I think in our circles, it's hard to wrap your mind around it. But, yeah, I think the last couple of years have shown that we're not done with the racists. The comedic timing in the let's play chess scene.
What do you like to do? Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw. Well, let's play chess.
Out of a movie with tons and tons of great lines, that it's super awesome. Howard Johnson's with their one flavor.
Well, and just the Johnson last name joke.
Dr. Samuel Johnson's right about Olson Johnson's being right.
So no ukuleles in this movie.
Right.
No ukes.
It is surprisingly one of the ones where you could have fit one in, but But for Mel, I'll let that slide. Randolph Scott, another one of the true classics, so influential to me personally and to comedy in general. I've got to give it four ukuleles. I think it's still as relevant today as it was. It can be cringy, but I think it's cringy for a reason. And so you have to go into it remembering that it's not just somebody being offensive to be offensive. They didn't shy away from that, but a masterpiece of comedy.
I think you hit the nail on the head there in a way that I hadn't ever really thought about it. One of my best friends in college, when we got each other's voicemail, we wouldn't ever leave a message. We'd just leave a line from Blazing Saddles. It was just a really important movie for us. And so I'm going to give it 4 ukes for sure.
Morons. That's my favorite line. But I would give it 4. It's one of those movies where I feel like I need to watch it down in the basement like I am, and with no one listening, where I can actually watch and laugh at and cringedly laugh at stuff. But it's still it's still a very solid comedy for me. There are parts I was laughing so hard at where it's just, and I haven't seen that for a long time, so it was a good movie still.
It's over!